Okay, Brett, I think we have to do a little revisiting here.
We didn't do twos justice.
We didn't. I set us up for failure. I said you were the expert authority. All right, so we're about to watch an excerpt from a podcast that Brett and I did on the best archetypal names for each Enneagram type. And although our goal was to consider each name in terms of how it spoke to both the positive and negative aspects of the type, for twos, we really just kind of glossed over the positive and spoke to the shadow side. A little ironic considering that we're both in a relationship with twos.
You sleep on the couch.
Anyhow, stay tuned till the end because I think it's important to add some additional insights to balance out the conversation that we had on the podcast. On to two. For archetypes, we have the helper, the giver, the lover. And for Rohr and Ebert, the need to be needed. I need you. Cheap Trick.
I want you to want me.
Yeah. I need you to need me. And the core motivation of love and appreciation. And Brett, I might add that you're married to a two.
Yes.
So you should be totally qualified to lay down the final opinion about what is the best archetypal name for two. What do you think?
I think it's the helper.
Okay.
And it has... I think in general, people think of helper as a positive term, and I think it is positive, but I can think of ways that it could be negative. And the one issue I have with all of these names is there's kind of like, and twos are very sneaky about it. There's a very subtle, they always help you, and it seems like it's for free. It seems like it's out of the goodness of their heart, but if they're being honest with themselves, there's a little invoice that they keep after they help you. And it's like, I think that would be my only critique of all of these names. None of them really give that to me, but insofar as I know them and understand them and love them, I think the helper is a pretty good name.
Yeah, that to me is kind of the main point. And I agree with you. Helper's my favorite name as well. Just to talk about a couple things more specifically, lover. Obviously, we have the core motivation for love. Lover, to me, speaks a little too specifically to maybe like the subtype or the sexual one, because you can have twos that need to be loved and appreciated happens almost only in like a social context, like a nurse or kind of Mother Teresa archetype, a social context where it's not like this one-on-one relationship dynamic. So lover maybe speaks a little too much to that.
Not
to me.
as big of a fan of lover. Yeah.
And again, to be fair, that comes from the literary Enneagram book, and she does talk about the subtype. So this isn't like the author doesn't know her stuff. This is just how the name may be interpreted. And I think that's a limitation of the lover archetype. And then to your point, comparing the helper and the giver, I thought, yes, if we're going to talk about two, it's a good thing to kind of hint at the idea that there's helping or there's giving happening, but there's a string attached or there's an expectation. And to me, the word giver almost has less of that connotation, like a pure gift, right? With no strings attached, where help seem more than giver, helper seems to at least convey a little of that strings attached thing with it.
Yeah. And even like, do you need help? Like even that question to me, generally, I don't mind being asked that question, but sometimes it's like there's a little, I don't want to say it stings, but there's a little bit of like why are you asking me this?
Yeah.
And like, do I look like someone who needs help? Like there's some other, all I'm saying is there's some maybe subtle shadows within the term helper and within the term help, which I think we agree with. Nice. So yeah.
I like it. All right. I think that's a good. Again, you're the authority. You're the expert on this matter, Brett. So
I am the authority.
All right. Check.
Keeping it real.
All right. Okay, Brett. I think we have to do a little revisiting here.
We didn't do twos justice.
We didn't. I set us up for failure. I said you were the expert authority. You're married to a two. She's actually sitting off camera right now, and we are looking at her reactions to see how well.
Wait. I want to stop real quick because you said you set us up for failure by making me the authority. You realize you just said that?
Yes.
You realize that underhanded slap in the face you just gave me?
I set up.
5 minutes later.
What I meant by that is, when you pridefully proclaim that you're the authority, in general, you're setting yourself up for looking like an idiot.
Okay. Well,
And for the record, my long-term partner is a 2 too. So
I don't accept your apology, but we'll just keep
yeah.
going.
So anyway, and so I was showing her. I did a TikTok, like 1 minute promotion for this, and I said the helper. I said my favorite because it implies gifts but with expectations, and she's like, oh, you made jokes about the other type, but you kind of said negative things about the 2. What's up with that?
Did we, or was that just like everyone when they hear their own type, they think they're being like talked down to or something?
Well, yeah, there is something to that, but I, on a serious note, I don't think that we necessarily, if one of the goals here was to give something that stung a little bit, but also something that really points out the best of 2. We love 2s, they're great. That was mentioned, but I don't think that we necessarily hit upon the specifics of what is great about 2s or likable about 2s. So let's go there.
All right.
And I think that I still agree with everything we said about the helper name in terms of, being the best because of those strings attached or expectations that come along with help. But I think the name also is the best from the positive standpoint too, because I think about the difference between, say, help and gifts. And to me, help just has a little more weight to it in both territories, insofar as a gift is easy, a gift is convenient, a gift doesn't always ask a lot out of you. I was just at a wedding this weekend, and people give gifts. You give $50 in a card, $100 in a card, and that's that. But dude, I helped out. I got there early. I got there at like 10 a.m. to be the sound guy, and so that's kind of on the plus side of the helper archetype. There's a difference between gifts and help isn't always expedient, and help isn't always convenient, and help isn't always something that everyone wants to do, but that's kind of what 2s at their best bring to the table. Like, they're just in there, they're committed, they're willing, and they're dependable in a lot of ways to do things that not everyone wants to do, but you can count on them in a really great sense of that word.
Right. So I think what I was responding to, when we talked about it last time, is it's like, that's like the easy answer. It's almost like so obvious that I didn't even want to talk about it, is that they're just so I think on the surface, and, just if you just take a look at your average 2, you just see selflessness is one of the first things you see. And if you talk about Mother Teresa being a classic 2, although I have heard other Enneagram people say she was actually an 8.
Yeah, I've heard that. So that's why I said the Mother Teresa archetype, because there's a difference between Mother Teresa. She's become an archetype that, maybe isn't historically accurate. It's just she's become the 2 are, anyway.
Right. But so Mother Teresa as the 2 symbol is it's all the good things about it too. It's really egolessness of who's going to help people with leprosy, or I mean, my wife, for example, who's sitting over there, is trying to avoid being talked about at all costs, but she loves being a hospice nurse, and she's suited to that. She's really good at that, and that's a skill and a gift that I think I would say maybe only 2s could do, is be a hospice nurse, and to bring the compassion there. I think 1s could, all the types could do it, but there'd be something else going on. I think the 2 is really the ideal type to be doing kind of these dirty jobs involved with what I would call dirty jobs of helping people, Mother Teresa, or actually even do we mention the big J man himself? The big J man. Oh,
Jesus. Yes, Jesus is.
He's kind of in that 1-ish, 2-ish, but going to the people who have leprosy, I guess they're called lepers, going to the lepers and helping those people. That's such a 2 energy space to do that. And yeah, I if we had glossed that over, that was our bad. You know, I think I just got a little excited and was like, oh yeah, duh. Twos are like saints, they're fucking helpers.
Yeah.
And let's go into some like the shadows. They're not
Right.
that, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
So twos, we love you. We acknowledge you.
yes. And do you know what's funny is, do you think we with our glossing over the twos, is that like would that like really kind of, is that indicative of how we treat twos in our lives?
Oh God, oh man, loaded question.
I think it might be, if I'm being fair. I think we take a lot of two stuff for granted.
Yeah.
And we just did it on our show. And I think there's some poetry to that, you know?
Yes, again, the irony of the expert authority, yet we had scantily little to say. So hopefully this makes up for it.
Go twos. Love you, twos. There was a state